Hello everybody, I'm Sean from Talos Tech Team. Today I'm going to be showing you how to disassemble and assemble the arm from a T60X. So today we have a wide range of tools. Today we're going to be using a electric screwdriver. Any drill or an electric screwdriver will do. We're going to be using some bits as well, a variety of bits, hex bits to be exact, if you want to zoom in on that, hex bits. We're also going to be using 2 ratchets with a 10mm socket, as well as a bigger ratchet with a 5/8 socket. So now we're going to be needing to take off the front cover. So with this, you're going to need your 2.5, I believe, to get these screws out. So yeah, perfect. So for this, simple as that. This is going to be only 2 screws for the front cover, not too hard. So we're going to put that back. So it's this one right here. You can see it's coming out. With that, you're left with 2 screws for the front cover. Okay, so now we're going to be popping off the front cover, which is just give it a little tug on your shirt, like that. And you're going to be in need to remove this front cover to have more access to the front covers. So with this one, usually what I like to do, there's 2 little clips right here on each side. What I like to do is get one side off first to make it easier for us, and just a little clip that clips off like that. That's all the same as for this one, so you can, like that, that's so. And what I like to do is keep it organized, just keep it under the drone, and nowhere specific. So when it comes to that, now we're gonna be needing to remove the front shell to all of this, which is just gonna be a little tricky, but with patience and time, we can get it done. So for here, there's gonna be, as we can see, there's gonna be 1, 2, sorry if you can't see this, 3, 4 screws right here. I don't know if you guys see that. It might be a little tricky to see, it's a little dark in there, but there's gonna be screws in there. You're gonna wanna remove those as you can, and it might be a little tricky because it's deep in there. So like I said, having longer bits will help, and it's okay to get stuck in there. We're gonna be removing them anyway, so that's one screw that comes out. Majority of these screws are all the same, but you know, if you want to keep it organized, always keep it separate. Here comes the second one. Same thing. That. Third one. Always take your time. There's no rush to this. Comes the third one. So, third one, and then we have a 4th one right here. That should be coming off. This one comes off, so that'll be your 4th screw. Now what we're gonna do is, there's also two screws over here, or sorry, one screw right here, and also over here is another screw right here, and we're just gonna take those off just in case, to have more ability when it comes to this. So that is one. Second one coming over here, and that's the second one for the front panel connectors. Now we're gonna make our way to the top. So up here, up at this portion. So it's gonna be a little tricky to do, but usually the screws all around here. So screws like, there's usually lot 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you have more over here, the same thing as well, another 5. So another 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 right here. But don't worry, we're gonna be doing it all together. So when you guys come over here, we're gonna be removing the screw like that, as so. Just one screw that comes out from now. Yeah, you can always keep it together or separate, wherever you please. We'll come over here too, remove the screw as well. And make sure you're not stripping these screws. Take your time. Make sure you're on the lowest setting for your screws. With that, so that's going to be another 4 down for us. So we have another some to go. So come on this side now. Start removing the screws. There's a screw right here too, so be careful not to miss this one. So now we come up here like that. And then we also can't forget these screws as well, just in case. We don't want to be bending plastic. We just want to make sure everything has some wiggle room if needed. And then this should be our 5th. 5 screws here, 5. And then you could keep them together, like I said, separate, doesn't really matter. I like to keep them together so I know which to go. Now, this might be a little difficult to see, but no worries. There's also going to be screws up here. As you see, there's going to be one right here. There's also going to be another one right here. And also another one right here. Same as this one, but opposite side. So now we're going to come here and we're going to remove the screw. As you can see, it might be a little difficult to see, so excuse me for that. Come right here, we're gonna remove this like that. So that's 1 screw right there. And you can keep it onto you. I like to hold it on, not that too much. We're gonna get the 2nd screw right here as well. With this, so you can see, like that. Now we're gonna get this 3rd screw right here. And with that, you should be able to pop this off. So this it's gonna be loose enough, I believe. Perfect. So you grab it. With that, it's gonna be 3 screws. You can put them together as well. There's no real way of doing things. So with that, now we're gonna be able to pop this thing off. Just a little get under and a little shake, a little wiggle will do. And then you have access to your power distribution board and to the arms. Okay guys, once you're done with the cover for the power distribution board, we're gonna make our way to the plug / the locking lever handles. We're gonna disassemble that first. So we're gonna have to, excuse me, so we're gonna have to take this out. Make sure you're holding onto the drone, make sure it's not going anywhere. So we're gonna do that. And if you want to, you can get these out of the way if you need to. So for this one, all we're gonna need is a 10mm socket with the ratchet, of course. And also, we're gonna need a electric drill with, I believe, a 3-bit. So this one, all we're gonna do is come down here, come up here, and then we're gonna break this loose. Make sure you're on the loose setting. And once you get it pretty loose, easy as unscrewing. With that, you can make sure you always take out the nut. Make sure you always know where it's at. With that, guys, all you're gonna do is gonna push this thing up, release it like that. What I like to do also is to make things tighter is just to make sure just screw on it for a little, screw on it and place it with other screws. Don't get confused. Now this handle will be released and with the arm now. So now what we have to do is we gotta unscrew this bolt, big bolt right here, which is not hard. All we're gonna need is a 5/8 socket with a ratchet, of course. And with this one, all we're gonna do is we're gonna, which is on the loose setting, we're gonna break this loose. What I like to do here is I like to get underneath it just to make sure it's not going anywhere. Make sure I have control of the arm. Once it's pretty loose, set my tool down We're gonna get this screw. We're gonna place it here for now. And what I like to do is this screw has to come out, which is this bottom silver one right here. It's a big one. If you can see it, it's right about here. Okay, and for this one, you're gonna have to take your time because it's really in there. So you're gonna have to wiggle back and forth. Take your time. Eventually, it will come out. If you want to, you can always get like some type of flathead and push it out. But usually with some wiggling and some unscrewing, a bolt, it should fall right out. So this one, like that, like so, will just fall right out. You place it down here for now. Now what I like to do is put this arm back on to figure out which, now we're gonna make our way to the front and we're gonna have to figure out which cables to disconnect. So what I like to do is get a rough look on where my cables are. So we're gonna have to look from here and up here as well for the power distribution board that's connected. So what I like to do to give us a little more room, I like to disconnect both of these, which is one of them is the arm. So there's gonna be a little latch right here. All you're gonna do is gonna press in and hear a click, and then you can just simply pull out, which might be a little difficult if you're new to this. So we'll pull out just as so, like that. And then same thing as this one as well. All we're gonna do is you're gonna press a little latch, hear click, and simply as pulling it out. So that's it for this one. Now we're gonna make our way to the top, as we're gonna need to unscrew some screws from this plastic piece right here. As you can see, it's gonna be this one for this arm related to it. So it's gonna be 2 screws. Actually, we're gonna need a 2-bit hex bit. These are smaller screws. So we're gonna come in here. And sorry if it's hard to see, but there's gonna be a screw right across from one another, which is right here. Just took it out. We got one more, which is right here. So once you're done with that, just 2 screws. Sometimes I like to get stuck on a bit, so there's 2. You can place them together or not together, doesn't matter. Okay guys, once you make your way to the cable for the arm, what you're gonna do is you're gonna have to push this in really in, and then you should hear a click, which this one won't be no click to it. So you're gonna have to pull up as you can, and it'll come out just like that. It's gonna be a little tough, so especially if you're new to this, it's gonna be a little difficult. And with that, you simply can now make your way to the arm. The arm is now completely loose. There's no cables attached to it. These cables right here, they're not attached to it, so it should be moving out freely. With this, I also recommend taking off propellers, but in this case, just to show you guys, you can still do it without taking off the propellers. With that, it's gonna be simple as making your way. What I do is push it, hold down here, make sure everything's free to go, which might be a little difficult, especially if you're new to this. So this white one's gonna come out, as you can see, through these holes right here. When you're right here feeding the cable, make sure it goes a certain way, and make sure that when you guys take it out, it's basically facing this little groove side. If you guys want to come over here, there's a little groove to it, so it goes in just like this. As you can see, this side is flat, this one has a little groove into it. You can see that, sorry about it. So a certain way like that. Now we're almost done. Now what I like to do is come right here. We're gonna need to disconnect the hose, and there's a little clip right here, so all you gotta do is push down, pry it open a little bit, and it comes out right out. Now what we're gonna do is unscrew this wing nut, which if you can. Now be careful, because if you guys are working with some type of chemicals or the spraying system, it will be still in the system and still in the hoses. As you can see, this, for this instance, there is water in this, so we are safe, and it will drip And then if you want to, let's keep things more tidy. I like to put it back on here. Okay guys, once you guys make your way back to the arm, you place it on the workbench just to make sure we have more space. So with this, we're gonna be disassembling the locking lever, the ESC, the motor cover, and the sprayer system right here, as we can see. So first, we're gonna be right here. We're gonna be disassembling the locking lever. And with this, you're just gonna need your, I believe this is gonna be a 3-bit. You can see. We're just gonna be unscrewing this screw and making sure that we have also a wrench, adjustable wrench, to make sure everything is not going anywhere. We're not stripping any screws. So this one, we gotta make sure we're just gonna place it here and start unscrewing. As you can see, simple as that. And if you guys don't know how to fully disassemble and assemble the locking lever, please check out our video. We have some videos on that. And what I like to do is there's also another piece right here that we have to get out. So we're gonna get it out just by pushing like that. It comes right out. Now with that, just to keep everything together, I just like to place everything together, set it off to the side for now. And that's it for the locking lever. Now we're gonna make our way to the ESC, which is another 4 screws. So with this, we're gonna need I believe it's gonna be a 4-bit. Yes, so this is gonna be a 4-bit hex. We're gonna need our screwdriver. So now, what I like to do is first, since these are on there pretty good, I like to make sure I crank it loose first. With that, come right off. Got 1 screw. Got 2 screws. With that, you're gonna get a 3rd one. A 4th one right here. Okay, now what I like to do is get everything together. I like to put it to the side for now. Now we're not done with the ESC just yet. We need to unscrew 2 more screws. So what I'm gonna do is, for you guys to see, I'm gonna flip it around. Sorry about the mess. Okay, so now we need to disconnect this power cord right here, which we're gonna need to also unscrew the motor cover as well. And this one, there's 2 different bolts. There's going to be a 3-bit, which is this one right here. Also, there's going to be another smaller one, which I believe this is also going to be a 2.5. I can see, so it's going to be like this, 2 different screws. So make sure you're not using the same bit for each screw. So what we're going to do here, just going to screw that. That to the side for now. Come over here. Unscrew this. That's unscrewed. There you go. Now we're still gonna have this. We're gonna have this 2.5 bit, same as this one. There's also another one over here. It's gonna be right there, as you can see. Right off. Now I'm gonna have to flip this back over again because. Do this like that. Bam, and then the screws should come out because we just flipped this. So 1 came out. We're gonna need 3 screws that come out. Usually, here's a different bolt as well, and then now we got the other one. So there's gonna be 2 the same, 1 that's different. Like so. Now we still gotta screw We gotta screw another 3 right here. Which is this one right here, 2.5 bit screw. That's off. This should be coming off, as so. Now, to get everything nice and tidy. Now we're gonna get 3-bit, as you can see, to unscrew 1 more screw to this. So. Like that. Now the motor cover should be able to just come right off. Might be a little difficult. not. So, and then the screw that we were talking about, and then we also got another screw. And then this is also the M1, M2 arm. As you can see, there's two of them same. So you can use the M1 as an M2 or vice versa, M2 versus M1. Doesn't really matter. And you're left with the motor cover screws. Now, once we're done with that, we need to still unplug the ESC, which is not hard. Make sure you're not bending anything, breaking anything. Now, we're gonna most likely use this. We're gonna be using to unscrew this 2.5 bit. Sorry if it's backwards, forward. So with that, come right here, break it loose first, unscrew, not too hard. This off to the side for now. Same one, there's another screw over here. So there's gonna be 1, 2 screws. Place it back over here. Try to be as organized. And then with this, it's gonna be a little on there, so you're gonna have to wiggle. So you're gonna have to get in there and just start pulling it apart. Like I said, take your time. This might be a little challenging for you guys, so just be able to wiggle back and forth, and bam, some come right out. So now, all we gotta do is, so there's gonna be two little, not clips, but holes right here. You're gonna have to lift up and pull out. Might be a little tough, but as simple as that. So make sure these are out. Now you're exposed with the ESC. Now we're not done just yet, as the ESC has more screws to this. So all we're gonna have to do is unscrew this bolt, unscrew this screw, and then there's another one as well as right here, if you can get a look at that. There's gonna be two of them. So the same thing, we're using a 2.5 bit. You can see there. It might be a little challenging to get to, so wherever which way works for you, it's gonna be different for a lot of people, but usually it's the same. Just gotta make sure this goes in like there, crack it, breaks right loose. And majority of the screws are the same, but they're not the same, so be careful not to mix and match with them, as this one's smaller than the others. So we're gonna place this ESC screw over there, and we got one more right here. And with this last screw, we should be able to see back over here. And with that, all we're gonna do is we're gonna pull this plug out. Like that. This might be a little awkward for you guys, trying to make sure you're able to see it. But with that, with the pulling, it should come right out. So there you go, that's the ESC that has come out. And then we're gonna just place it over here. Make sure our whip area is nice and tidy. Now, we're gonna be moving on with the disassembling the sprayer, as we can see. So for this one is gonna be not too hard for us. All we're gonna do is we're gonna need a, as you can see, we're gonna need a 3X bit. We're also gonna need a wrench to loosen this. So first, we're gonna get this screw loose right here. So make sure we're not breaking anything. So this one just has one screw, and these screws are the same as the motor screws. So now what we can do is, if you want to, you can move this and this will come out freely, like so, just in case we're not bending anything like that. So it's completely loose now, as so. You want it loose, we're gonna tighten anything. So we're gonna get our wrench here, adjustable wrench. We're gonna start taking this off. Screw it and make sure now it's tight. Now you want to be loosening this, you want to take this off, so do as you please. And I think once you be able to, you can start unscrewing it, which is not hard. It might be a little difficult, might be a little awkward, so take your time. Once that's off, then this little hose nut comes off. What we do is you're gonna have to take this off, which is not hard. It's just a little moving back and forth, and then that comes out. Now a little water or your chemical will come out, so please be wearing gloves for this instance. This is just water. And we can take this part out. What I like to do is just kick this out. As so, put this back on just to make sure everything's nice and neat. Now what we have to do is we have to come back here. Now this hose is completely free. What we can do now is, if we want to, we can just start pulling this like that, and there's your hose. Now there's going to be, like I said, some type of leakage, and water or your chemical will come out. So well, since we have no space, all I do, I'm going to put this down here for now. Now we work our way back over here. Once we work our way back over here, we're going to need to disconnect this wire that's right here. As you can see, it's not going to be that hard, but it's right here. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to press right here and simply release like that. Once we work our way back over here, we're going to need to disconnect this wire that's right here. As you can see, it's not going to be that hard, but it's right here. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to press right here and simply release like that. Okay guys, now once we disconnect this is your entire sprayer completely off now. So what we like to do is you can place it somewhere, anywhere else that's not in your way. I like this place over here, so no worries. Now the last thing is just removing the motor, which is completely off the arm, that's not too hard. All we're gonna do is flip this like this, as so. Sorry, it's gonna be a little hard to get to, but we are not going to be removing these ones. We're going to be removing these ones as they're down here, as you can see on my finger. So we're not going to be touching those ones. Okay guys, once we come back, we're going to be using a 6 head, as you can see. So we won't be needing these little ones now. Now these are going to be very tight. They have thread lock, as so. So what you want to do, make sure you're holding everything down, and you want to give it a good, nice crack. It might be a little tough, so please be patient. There's no rush to this. Turn it, make sure you're going to the left. And these are on there pretty good, so once you get like a good halfway, you can use your electric screwdriver, and keep going, because these might be on there pretty good. And once you break it loose, the bolts should come out. And all that residue is called blue lock, so please be careful and make sure not to breathe it in or inhale it. So we still have another 3 to go. So for these ones, we're gonna crank it. Probably do it by hand first because it's on there pretty good, as the other 4 are. So once you get it good, and things will be a lot easier, or make it easier, if you have a drill / electric screwdriver, as these little ones won't have enough power to really get those really tight bolts out. So hopefully once we crank it loose enough, these should come right out. As you can see, there one pretty good hefty amount of blue lock. With that, now we got another one right here, so you can see from my finger. This one, same thing, we're gonna have to try it by hand first. That's so. Take your time. Like I said, with all these parts, please, we don't want to be stripping screws, as then it will take more time to take off. So I'm just in that third one as well. See, there's a lot of residue, but that's okay. That's a healthy amount, which is good. We don't want any of these screws coming loose or undone mid-flight, so be sure to make sure we are good to go. Screw this last bolt. It's on there pretty good. And some screws are going to be tougher than others, so don't be worried if one is tighter than the other. That's just how it was probably assembled. Like I said, take your time. There is no rush to this. And with that, as you already see, the mount already came off. That last bolt is off. Now we're left with just this bolt, which is the fourth one, as you can see. Now we have almost disassembled the entire arm. We are left with just the cable inside, which is not hard. All we gotta do is we gotta feed this through this little thing, and like I said, there's no certain way for this one. It's just pushing and pulling at the same time. But so should be able to come, make sure there's nothing in, make sure there's no cable stuck in between. You don't want to be pulling on any cables. With that, you usually just able to just push. Oh, one more step. I forgot about this step. Sorry, my apologies. We had to remove the load sensor screw. With this, we are gonna need a 2.5. Sorry if you can't see that. I believe it's 2.5. Take this big one off. We don't need it. With that, this one unscrew, and this one's a lot smaller from the other, so keep this separate as you can. And this thing will come off from the mount as well, so make sure you guys know where this comes from, which is right here. But we're gonna take it off for now. Now with that, as we make our way over here, we can now simply just pull this cable out of the arm. And like I said, it's gonna be a lot of wiggling and pulling into this one, as well as the other ones, as these are always a little more trickier than others. Don't be afraid to pull on it a little bit, twist it a little bit. It's okay. And once you get this big piece removed, then the rest should just come out. So once you remove the cable from the sleeve, all we're gonna do now is we're gonna be removing this little mount right here. So this one has some rubber pieces right here. It might be on this side, it might be on the other side. So in this case, it's right here. So it might be a little difficult, but all you want to do is just pull. There's going to be little rubber pieces inside there. Pull. Try not to rip these, or by chance, so there's going to be come out a little rubber piece. Now there's going to be 3 bolts right here, and I believe this one takes going to be a 4, which is not that one. It's going to be most likely this one right here. Yep. So this is going to be a 5-bit, the X head. With that, all we're gonna do here is we're gonna try to loosen this like as so. And like I said, if you have electric screwdriver or a heavy duty drill, it'll be a lot easier on you. But in this case, I'm just demonstrating you guys. You guys can take it off with just a normal, simple electric screwdriver. Like that. As you see, that comes loose. As so, these long screws, longer, different from the other mount screws. So we got 6 of these. So we gonna be here for a little bit. Make sure to go slow. There's no rush to this. Just make sure that when it's loose, you can easily just do this.
see, bam. Second one. Now we got our third one right here. And there's no real way of taking these off, or any specific way to take off. You can just take off whichever one you're comfortable with first. So once you got it loose enough, this is your screw. Crack this one loose too. There's the fourth one. Excuse my reach. Just crack this one open. Alright. So then, usually when you take that third one out, there's going to be a little silver piece that comes off like this. So you want to make sure this comes out like that. And then we got one more. It's going to be our last one. Great. Loosen it. You don't want to be tightening it. We're almost done here. With that, done. Keep it going, keep it going. Okay, and that'll be our last bolt. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we got a little silver thing too. So make sure not to lose these. These are like washers when it comes to screwing these in. We'll put that there for now. And now with that, you can remove the mount from it, and there you have a complete disassembled arm from a T60X. What we're going to start first is we're going to start with the clamp, as you can see, or the mount, sorry, the mount. And there's usually one way it can go. So there's usually a down and an up. And to make things easier, and then when you align it, it should be just straight. There should be no wiggle. It should be straight like that. As you can see, it's not wiggling, it's not going anywhere. That's what we want. With that, what I like to do is I like to grab one screw. Oh, I'm sorry. Don't forget, you can put this on, but don't forget your little silver washer slash things. And then usually these have a specific way of going. You see that little notch right here, as you can see. You can push that right in. Also, we have this one as well. And this one goes on the other side. Same thing, find that notch, push it in. That should go in like that, as so. Now what we're gonna do is, what I like to do is grab one screw, and then with just our fingers, tighten it as best as you can. And then what I like to do is grab our electric screwdriver, as you can see. Now we're just gonna go here, and we're gonna screw it in, not all the way, just to make sure it just holds the arm. So we have both our hands used. So with that, now I like to come over here, come to the other side, right here. Simple as that. Should be able to just go right in. And this one, you want it pretty tight. Also use thread lock, but since there's so much thread lock on all of these, as you can see, there's still a good amount. We don't need to. With that, all we're gonna do, you want these on there pretty good. So go as hard as you, snug and tight as you can. So now it should be easy sailing from there. All we're gonna do, grab our screws. It's gonna be our third one in. Simple as that. Make sure that's tight. You can go, also when you're screwing in, just make sure everything is centered, nothing's misaligned, nothing's not off. Okay. you can see. There's how you mount. That's how you screw on the mount for the arm. Okay guys, now we're gonna be moving on to inserting the cable. So for this can be a little tricky, especially if you're new to this. There's a certain way that it has to go, especially when it comes to these cables. So as you can see, if I try to put it like this, it's gonna go in, but it's gonna get stuck more. But there's a bigger latch right here, and that can go in like that. So now what I like to do is I like to put in the smaller cable in first, which is this cable, and first, so that goes all the way in. With that on top of it, which is gonna be down below, which is gonna be right here like that, as so. And that, with that, which is pretty easy, all we're gonna do is we're gonna push it in. As you can see, just pushing it, feeding it in. And then once we get about, I think right about here, once we get right about here, you're gonna be able to see your ESC power. And this one can be a little tricky, so take your time, no rush. It's be a little tricky, so get some pliers, get some any kind of gripping device you have, and just feed it out, as so. That's with that, perfect. Now what we're gonna do with this, feed it through, perfect, like that. So it sticks out, just so we have enough cable room to install the ESC. Now we're gonna come back over here, and we have to insert the load sensor bracket. So you want to make sure this piece is going in first, as so, because we need to make sure the screw lines up with this. With that, so, as so. It might be a little tricky, so just please take your time. There's no rush to this. So once it gets about like that, it might be a little tricky to make it stay in place, but like I said, take your time. There's no rush to this. And sometimes it can get stuck in with the other cable, so there's no really real way of inserting this load sensor bracket. Okay guys, so if it gets stuck in there, just try to grab it as best as you can, pull it out, and then we're gonna make sure this is aligned with this, as so. And if you need to, what I like to do is keep my hand underneath it, and we're gonna grab, as so. You hear it should be flush like that, as so. Shouldn't be any wiggle room or anything like that. We're gonna get this screw. This is a little longer, a little skinnier than others. Place that in here, as so. Now this one is, I believe, is gonna be this is gonna be a 2.5, as you can see. A little difficult to see, but we're gonna screw in by hand first, just to get a feel. You don't necessarily have to use your drill yet, but now if you want to, for extra security, we are going to screw it in, as so. So that's perfect, it's not going anywhere. With that, we're gonna make our way to the mount slash propellers now, the motor mounts. So now for this one, it's only one simple way that it goes. Usually when you have your mount up or down, it's just gonna want to sit flush like this, as so. And once it sits flush like that, you want to make sure it's not bending like this or like that. It's usually straight on like that. And with that, we're gonna get our 4 bolts, one at a time. We're gonna insert it over here first. We're also gonna grab our, I believe, our 6-bit, and it's gonna be able to screw in. Usually what I do is get it hand tight. Then I'll get our electric screwdriver, put that on, and then what I like to do is hold the arm as well, and make sure it's able to screw in. Usually like about there, and then usually what I like to do is to make sure it's not going anywhere. It just like that. But we don't want it like this. We want to make sure it's nice and leveled, as so. So now we're gonna come to the other side just to free up our hands. We're gonna get this screw down like that. We're gonna get our drill and we're gonna put it in, as so. Perfect. Now with that, it should be nice and level. It shouldn't be going, it shouldn't be sagging, lagging anywhere. Now what I like to do is make sure we're on the right setting. Now come back to that first bolt we had. Make sure that's all the way down, secured. And if, like I said before, if you have a better drill or a heavy duty, make sure you're not on the very setting, because it will strip the screws. But like for instance, this is on there pretty good. This we're stuck. So with that, we're gonna get our other screws now, and we're gonna put it on this side as well. And once it's fully in like that, I like to give it a little twist, so we're gonna make sure we're very on there, very tightly, as so. Bring our last bolt right here, and we're gonna come over here and we're gonna make sure this is on there like that, as so. Sometimes it won't go in all the way first, so don't force it in. Usually like to back it off, make sure it seats in good. And then if nothing's going in, then we're just gonna hand tighten it as best as we can. Make sure it's going in as good as it can. And if you need to, like I said, it'll make your life easier if you have a better drill. For instance, we're gonna have this electric drill, so we gotta work what we have. So keep it going. Make sure everything's nice and tight. Do always double check. That's on there pretty good. It can't go anymore. What I like to do is, this is stuck on here with a little tugging. Just come right out before and we go anywhere. We're gonna make sure this feeds out like this, as so, as this connector is very important. We also cannot forget our hose to our sprayer, so we're gonna do that real quick, which is down here, as you can see, which is gonna be this. And there's usually a right way to put this on, but usually what I do is just get it in as good as I can. So we're gonna feed it through, as so. With that, it should be coming out through here. Oh, see, we don't want that. We want it to come out through here, as so. So with that, make sure you're not putting it down here or out through here. We don't want that. We want it right here just for now, just to make sure we have everything nice and secure. And once we install the motor and the motor mount and the cables and tube, we're gonna make our way to our ESC, as you can see right here. We're gonna grab our ESC, as you can see. There's only one way of plugging this in. If you have any kind of kickback or it's not going in, then flip it the other way. Now, once you're like this, what I like to do is I like to grab our screws, which are gonna be these screws right here, a little tinier ones, different. With that, we are gonna need with this, we're gonna need a 2.5 bit. Okay guys, when you guys are trying to plug in the ESC, it comes with 2 screws. So we're gonna be using these screws. It might be a little different from the others, but as you can see, almost the same bits and all that. We're gonna do this, come right here. We're gonna screw it in. Oops. Come right here, screw it all the way in. Make sure it's flush. And we're gonna go on the other side. It might be very little difficult to see, but come over here. See, like that. And once it's on there pretty good, you should be good to go. Now with that, all we have to do is we're gonna pull some slack out with our hand, and we're gonna seat this like that and then in. That's how we do it for this one. And then to make things a little easier, all we're gonna do is we're gonna flip this arm around, as you can see, as so. Maybe a little difficult, but we can do it. Now what we wanna make sure is when we come from the ESC, we wanna make sure we're lining up the ESC with the mount, with the sleeve, sorry. And then we're gonna be using these small 4 bolts, as you can see. With that, we're gonna be using our 4-bit, as you can see. Sorry if it's a little hard to see. We're using that. We wanna make sure this is all aligned. So what I like to do is put down these screws. Now we're gonna go up here, make sure everything's aligned, and give it a nice halfway in. Make sure that's not going there. And what I also like to do is grab another screw, as you can see. And we're gonna come straight across from that other screw over to here, just to make sure everything's lined up. And then that one's on pretty good, you see. Now we're gonna come back over to our first screw and make sure that's fully tight. As so. Now we have 2 more bolts to go. One's gonna be right here. So crank it down. We want these on there pretty well. We got one more over here. So crank it, make sure it's on there pretty good, nice and tight, nice and snugged. And that would be it for the ESC portion. We're gonna make our way to our sprayer, which we need to install, which is this. So make sure you guys have this hose nut. This is very important. This is to make sure we get no leakage. So now what I like to do is I like to plug in this to make sure we have some type of stability. Make sure you hear that click. I'm not sure you guys heard that, but this, for a hose nut, I always like to make sure this ring is up, this bottom portion is down. What I do is do this, like that, as so. Now what we're gonna do is we have to make sure this feeds back to the arm. It might be a little difficult, but pulling and pushing should do the trick, like so. Now when it comes to this, you can feed it, you can pull it. With that, we're gonna insert this into this right here, as so, like that. Make sure it's fully sealed, and we're gonna screw it on. Now with that, we're gonna get our, make sure it's hand tight. We're gonna get our adjustable wrench, and we're gonna tighten this down as best as we can. We just wanna make sure there's no more leakage. So if you need to, tighten this however you want. I just prefer a wrench because it's a little easier on us. One more turn, 2 more turns. Once you feel a little bit of give to it, then it should be good enough. Now what we're gonna do is we gotta make sure this is all up inside and good. So what we gotta do, gotta make sure everything's pushed up in there, and we had to make sure these pieces go inside like this, as so. It'll be a little difficult, but take your time. There's no rush to this. So once you feel that you push up and then you push in, you should feel that kind of slot in. Now, to make things a little easier on us, we're gonna get our run screw right here for our sprayer, which goes right over here. Camera, right here. What I like to do first is like to screw it in by hand, try to get it on there, and we're gonna use our 3-bit, as you can see. 3-bit, go by hand first. Make sure that's on there tight. Make sure it's not going anywhere. Now what I like to do is grab our electric screwdriver. Like so. We want to make sure this is on there snug, but not too tight. because we can break the plastics on here. So once you feel a little get to your screw or screwdriver, it should be nice and tight. It should not be flopping or loose. Now we have one more plug-in, which is our ESC cable, which we don't want to be bending or whatnot. So make sure when we plug this in, this only goes one way. Usually if it's twisted, that's the wrong way. You want to make sure it should be all nice and flat running. You want to plug this in as so. And this one is going to be a little tough, as this is a big cable, so you want to make sure this is going in as firmly as possible. So it's going to have to give a little push in. So once it's fully flushed as so, you're good to go. We're going to grab our 2 screws that came off of it, and we're going to be using our 2.5 bit to make me things a little easier. I'm going to come from here and screw as so. Once you feel a little kickback, then you're good. Same on the other side. All we're going to do is come over here, screw. Once you get a little kickback, once you make sure it's not going anywhere, that's it for the ESC plug. Not to forget, make sure you have your 2 rubber pieces. It's going to be a little difficult to put on, but what I like to do is get my 2 hands in there and make sure this lip is fully sealed with the cover as so. Make sure this is all pressed down in there. No real way of doing this, just making sure this is fully sealed as so. So once it's fully sealed as so, you should be good to go. So I'm using 2 hands. With your 2 hands, just all you're gonna do is gonna press and feel that groove inside the armhole. Once you feel that, you should be good to go, like that. If it's not going anywhere, then you should be good to go, as so. Now, you cannot forget about this. This protects the screws, as you can see from right here. With that, usually it's on the open side where the cable's not from. So on this open side, we're gonna put our rubber grommet on it, press it in as so, and then it should just fall into place as so. Okay guys, when you're here putting on the sleeve, make sure this can be sticking out. It's okay, just make sure everything's nice and sealed. And if you need to, you can change the positioning of the arm. There's no real way of putting this on. Usually what you can do is you can unplug this, and then it'll be a lot easier to get to, but this instance, you can just put it on for now as so. So guys, when you're here, just make sure if it doesn't stick, that's okay. You know, it's just to protect any water leakage, just to make sure nothing's bad, but if it's sticking out, that's okay. So this is gonna have to do for now. Okay guys, when you're here, doesn't really matter how you put this on, as long as it sits fully flush against the arm. With this, what I like to do is come through here, and what I like to do is get my fingers completely inside, and we want to make sure these screws set with right here. And it might be difficult as so, but if you are able to do this as so, once it's like that, you are good to go. And then if you want, you can press these in as so. And with that, it's fully flush and you're good to go. All we're gonna do is we're gonna take this. It's gonna be a little journey right now. Make sure you guys have a good grip to the arm. All I like to do is I like to come here. So first we had to feed, well, I like to feed this cable all the way through first. With this, we're gonna feed this cable as well. This one goes a certain way, so make sure it has to go a certain way, which is this way. It might be a little tricky because we're gonna plug in this first. So we're gonna do this one cord first. Like you see, it freely goes in, as so. And again, this might be very challenging to some people, so make sure to take your time. There's no rush to this. We're gonna plug this in slot this in cable as well. Make sure that fully goes in, as so. With that, you should be able to get your hand through there and be able to push it through. With that, what I like to do now is to make sure everything's nice and neat. Put the drill down a little bit down, hold it down a little bit. Now I'd like to pull this through and find that other plug-in, which is right here. And then as soon as I get enough slack, I pick this arm back up, making sure everything's nice and neat. And then also, when it comes to this, we want to make sure this hose is slotted like that. We don't want to make sure it's out because it's not the right way. So now we're going to come right here, come slotting it in. Now what we're going to do is, all we're going to do, just to give us a break time, we're going to just put this in as so, which might be a little difficult. So make sure you're holding on to something, the drone, and it's going to be able to push right in. With that, you could take your time. You can make sure this just clips in like that, as so. We're not plugging it in right now, or screwing this in right now, but we'll get to that later. Now what we can do is we're gonna need our big screw and our big nut. So with this, it's gonna be a little tricky as well. For this one, we are gonna make sure. So after taking a break or so, we're gonna take this back off, as you can see. And now I like to make sure the arm is on my shoulder so I have more hand space. With that, all I'm gonna do is find this groove, and this might take a while, so please be patient, as this is gonna be a lot of moving back and forth. Making sure this is aligned with the arm, so this might take some time. If you guys need a break, you can always just put this back onto the arm, as so, and you can also put it here as well, but sometimes it does get a little rough to move the drone back and forth. Able just to slide in just like that. So like again, it did take a while for that to slide in. Make sure this has to be fully sealed with this cover. So this is not in correctly, so what we have to do is we're gonna have to take off the arm, as so, and we gotta make sure this is all the way in. So you're gonna have to spin the screw around a couple of times, wiggle the arm needed, and as so. As you can see, now it's fully flush, is what we want. With that, we're gonna get our screw. So you can see this big screw, and we're gonna feed it through. And with that, all we can do is, if you want to, you can put the arm back on the drone, as so. Make sure nothing's hitting it. And with that, we can get our ratchet and socket. With that, you guys will need your ratchet and socket with the 5/8, as you can see. With that, I'm gonna come here, and with this, I just like to make sure that it's really on there. We want to make sure when it comes to the arms, anything connected to the arms, everything's really on there. So as you can see, a little bit more to go. With that, once you start hitting kickback, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Make sure that's on there good. Can't get any more, that's pretty good, like that. And if you want to, you can always do a test. Just take off the drone and make sure there's no wiggle room. It's not sagging. It's not going anywhere. It's completely still. We can put this back on. Once you're done putting on the drone, screwing the bolt in, the big screw, we're going to be installing our locking lever handle, which that will be over here. With that, we're gonna need our bits just in case we need so. And our screwdriver. So we're gonna need, excuse my reach, we're using our screwdriver. With this, all we're gonna do is we're gonna slot this bad boy in, which is right here. First, we're gonna come here. We're gonna slot this in. Now, this might be a little tricky because it does like to fall off sometimes. Sometimes it likes to stay in, so let's hope this thing stays in for us. Whatever this you wanna go through. Bam. So as you can see, it's staying still for us. Now we're gonna get our screw. We're gonna get our lever handle. If you need a disassembly and assembly video, we have it on our page. Now we're gonna come here, we're gonna slot this screw in. It's as simple as that. And we're gonna get our, what I like to do is make sure this is in. And what I like to do is make sure it's straight across from one another. And what I like to do is come with our screw, which is not the right bit. We're gonna be using a 3, as you can see. With our 3, put it on our screw. With that, to make our lives a little easier, we're just gonna be using our screwdriver. There you can push it, make sure this is all aligned, and you should be able to screw it. With that, that should be good. Wiggle room, play through. It should be on like that. It's okay if you hear a little squeaking, that's just it being used. Now we cannot forget our long skinny bolt for the locking handle. With that, all we're gonna do is we're gonna take our long screw. We're gonna make sure this is on here like so. Make sure all these holes align with each other. With that, slot it through. Come over here, get that nut in. Once you use your hand or any other tool, we're gonna be using our ratchet and socket, 10mm, as so. And we're gonna make sure it's on a tightening setting, and we're gonna tighten this down. Which you don't need this very tight, just a nice snug will do, as so. What we're gonna do is we're gonna make sure we're gonna feed our cables through the right port. So for this one, as you can see, it's gonna be a little challenging. We're gonna feed it all the way up here. It's gonna be through this hole, as you can see my fingers up here. I don't know if you can see that. It should be right about here where my finger's at. So we gotta feed it up there. You can take the covers off if you wanted to, but in this case, we're just simply showing you how to disassemble and assemble the arm. With that, we're gonna just push it through almost. If you need to change positions, change positions. There's no rush to this. No real way of doing this. So once it's out and free like this from up here, it should be good. There should be enough slack into this. And then what we can do, and then you make my way over here. With that, all we're gonna do is we're gonna come here. There's only one way of this, of it going in. There's a flat side and there's a clip side. Make sure the clip side aligns with the clip side. And if you need to, you can pull this back, as so. And then with that, you should hear a click or some type of necessary thing like that, as so. It should not be wiggling, it should not be able to pull out. With that, we have 2 screws, one right here, one right there. It's gonna be these 2 screws that's right here. Like that. We're gonna be using our 2.5s. With that, we're gonna get our screws, come up here. And there's 2 of them. So for this one, I gotta make sure that I'm able to see where I'm drilling in, which is from right here. Screw it in, so. This doesn't need to be too tight, just snug is pretty good. The same for the other side, as we're gonna get our screw. And come over here and start screwing. Does not have to be too tight. Make sure it's nice and snug. It's not going anywhere. That one's good. Everything's good around there. Once you guys are putting back your arm, all you have to do is just put it back as so, just to make sure it's nice and locked in there. And we're gonna make our way to our front side now. Now with this, all we're gonna do is, remember there's two plugs that we disconnected. This is not to the arm, this is to the other arm. This to the arm we have right here, as we can see. And to make it easier, we're just gonna come in here, make sure this clip side is aligned with the other clip side, as you can see, right here. Now we're gonna try to hear us click, as so. And the same for this black one. This one, you can try to cable management. You don't really necessarily have to, but same thing with here. We're gonna have a clip on this side. It's gonna be kind of dark in there, so my apologies. All we're gonna do is we're gonna try to hear a click sound now. With that, you should be good to go. There's no screws for this one. With that, all we're left with is putting on our front panel and our panel to our power distribution board. Okay guys, when you guys are in the front panel area, what we're gonna do is we're gonna screw on back our panel, which there's gonna be a lot of these. These are almost all the same, as you can see. These are just the front panel screws. With that, we're gonna be using our 2.5 bit, as you can see. Sorry for the grid out. So there's gonna be 4 screws right here inside the panel. It's gonna be a little difficult, so make sure you're using a longer bit if you can. And these do not have to be tight. You can have these on the lowest setting or to an 8. You just don't want these snug in there. There's gonna be another screw right here as well. Bam, nice and snug. There's also gonna be another one over here, as so. Make sure you're supporting the plastic as well. Don't want it sagging. Perfect, and you hear that kick, it's all right. And it's okay if you see a little bit of light coming through, that's just how the drone is. So once you guys done with this, we're gonna screw, we can place our screws down for a bit. As you can see, we're gonna get our power distribution cover, which is gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 screws to this one. This one is not that hard. All we're gonna do is we're gonna slot this in as so. It only goes one way as so, because if you do the other way, that wouldn't look right. So it's only one way this can go in. And this one, you're gonna have to wiggle your way. Same thing, it's just wiggling. Making sure everything's aligned. That side's good. Come over here. We're gonna make sure this side is good. And once this looks like it's all aligned, nice and neat, you should be able to screw it. Come back, get our screws that we just left off with. Same screws as well. We're gonna start screwing in. Remember, I believe there was 9 screws to this, so it's gonna be 1. This is gonna be 2. This is gonna be 3. This is gonna be 4. Like you see, you saw it coming down, that's okay. A little movement, it's not bad. Come right here as well. We're gonna get this screw right here. As you can see, there's one right here. This one is a little bit off center, so make sure you just wiggle. Make sure it's complete like that. And I'm gonna come over here. And this side, as you can see, it's a little down. You just push it down. So that's okay. Just make sure we're not breaking any plastics. With that, we're gonna come also right here. We're gonna get this screw on. Perfect. We're also gonna get this screw right here. As so. Bam. And we're gonna get this one right here as well. Nice and snug, not too tight. We're gonna get this one as well right here. And that'll be it for the back portion of the power distribution cover. Now we have 2 more of these screws. which are gonna be for one right here and one right here as well. So all we're gonna do is go right here, screw it in. These don't have to be tight either, just nice and snug and tight. Same from over here. Get this side. Make sure it's nice and snug. It's all right. If it's a little dirty, you can always wipe that off later. We have our 4 last ones. These are gonna be there's gonna be one right here, 1, 2, and then 3, and then 4 on this side as well, as you can see. These were just to make sure we weren't breaking any plastics or soap, whatnot. Once you get that in, perfect, that's one. And these ones, you can go across pattern, you just don't want to be breaking any plastics, just making sure screws are not being stripped as well. It's gonna be our last one right here. So nice 4. Now we're on to our last step for this video. All we're gonna do is we're gonna put on our front panel cover, which are these 2 little grooves right here, little clips. All we're gonna do is, what I like to do is get one side on like so. So is just pushing towards us, as you can hear a clip sound, as well as this other side. We're gonna hear for a clip, as so. With that, as you can see, we are, just make sure these align like this, also the other side. And then what I like to do is give it a little love tap, as so. Make sure everything's flush, nothing's loose. And then we're left with our other 2 screws for front panel. Not too tight, not too loose. Make sure it's not going anywhere. Okay guys, once you guys are done putting on your arm, today we're gonna be putting on back on our cover. So for this, to make our lives a little easier, we're gonna pull this out. Make sure your camera has a good view. You don't have to lock it, but in this case, we're gonna get our cover. As you can see, the M1 and M3 is to this arm. Make sure this is up. You have a bottom, make sure this one's up. As you can see, it's gonna go right on. It's gonna find its groove, it's gonna find its way, and it should be flush with the motor, as you can see. Completely flush. If there's a little gap, don't worry, when we screw it on, it's gonna seal right back in. With that, to make our lives easier, we're gonna get our 4 screws, just so. We're gonna get our electric screwdriver as well. Make sure we have the right bit on, which is a 2.5. As you can see, 2.5. When you guys are screwing this in, make sure you guys are using these 4 screws for this hole and that hole, as you can see. With that, I'm gonna screw this in. As so, nice and tight, not too tight. We're gonna come down here as well. We're gonna screw in this hole. Make sure it's okay if you hear a little squeak, that's okay. This hole we're gonna leave empty for now. We're gonna come over here. We're gonna get our other 2 screws in here, so one right here and one right there. With that, it should be easy, just make sure you guys are aligning your holes right. Make sure you're not breaking it. And then once you hear a good kickback, that should be good. And we get this bottom left right here. We're gonna screw that in, nice and tight. It's not going anywhere. Don't worry if there's a little plate, we still got it tight in it. And for our last 2 screws, which is gonna be our these last 2 screws, which are, as you can see, almost the same bits, just a little different. These are for the sprayer, so it doesn't go anywhere. We're gonna be using a different bit, which is gonna be a 3. And with this, it's gonna be 2, only 1 on each side. And we're gonna be putting it right here, as is this empty hole right here. With that, we're gonna come in here, make sure everything's aligned, nice and neat. Make sure Once you hear click, kickback, you're good to go. You're gonna come on this other side and insert it to this hole again, empty hole. Hear kickback, you're good to go. And as you can see, there's a little playroom, but it's okay. As long as it's not going or it's not moving, you can't pull it, you're good to go.